Hey, welcome to my art channel. I'm Tess, and today I'm going to demonstrate the use of both palette knife and brush in one artwork. The brush is the typical tool most artists use to apply paint on canvas. However, sometimes we find the palette knife much easier and time saver for covering bigger spaces on canvas, like the sea and the sky, especially if you're a scenery artist. You understand what I'm going through. So I use my brush. I use like typical, cheap brushes especially for oil paint. Anything works for them. And I'm using size 8 because it's a small canvas, as you can see. Okay, I'm done with the outline. Now let's jump to painting basic layer. I'm using yellow ochre. For this color, you see on the outline between the blue sky and the white grayish cloud. I like thinning my paint for the first layer with refined linseed oil. As you can see, while other artists may prefer using spirit or turpentine, but I've always preferred linseed oil for all layers, first or last or middle. And all the mixing and beautiful mess will be on this disposable sheet palette, where you can discard the sheet you're done with and start over on a clean slate. As the saying goes, starting fresh is harder when you have to clean your wooden or plastic palette for hours. The easiest part, in my opinion, is the first layer. I apply the thin layer of paint quickly without paying much attention to details. And the perfect tool of this spread of thin liquidy paint here is the brush. Now I won't finish the whole first layer of the canvas to make it quick, with more focus of the use of palette knife versus painting brush. For the sky, I'll be using cobalt blue mixed with a little bit of linseed oil, not so much, and of course I will mix it with the titanium white of Daily Roni. And I always make sure my white is 3 to 4 full stars, as you can see, to make sure that the color's opacity is very high. When applying paint on a wide space like the sky here, you can see that it's much smoother to spread. And it's like even the mixing and the remixing of the paint is much easier with the palette knife. Moving a bit further away from the canvas, you start seeing the effect of the ochre in between the cloud and the sky. And the cloud usually pops in front of the sky with the use of this outline. And if you move a little bit closer, you may see the overlapping yellow, because we did not wait for it to dry, but that's okay. On usual occasions, we do wait for the first layer to dry. Now, working down here on the land part of the landscape, we see much narrower lines and curves. We're going to be using 3 different hues of grain for the land, and I'm going to mix the paint. I like mixing the paint with the palette knife. It's much easier to clean the paint from it. We have basic pine green, faded fern green, and the shiny light chartreuse. I usually start with the middle dark shade, which is the faded fern green. Remember that you can always experiment by adding yellow, white, ochre, or you can add more oil if you need it. Just enjoy it as much as you can. Painting should be a fun and relaxing experience. I'll start by using the palette knife down here just to show you how hard it is to make the exact lines you had in mind with my palette knife. It's a bit tricky, and uncomfortable, I felt, for me, to be honest. If you're one of the few who don't like using a brush at all, it's smart to get the details by dipping certain edges of the knife, and by controlling the amount or chunks of paint you have on that edge, which again could be a bit of a stress. And as I mentioned, painting should be a relaxing experience. I'm so done with the knife at this point. And we resolve to the brush after all. You can tell how your brush just swirls and sways along curves and the thin lines without causing any chaos. It's really cool. So far, the best tool for the big strokes and wider spaces was the palette knife, and the best tool for the narrower or curvier lines was the brush. Oh, that faded color effect. The softness of the strokes can only be done by the flick of your brush. And when the time is right, the knife comes in handy. You have these two spaces on both sides. Well, let's see. Now that we're done from our land, we shall go back to the sky with the knife and big chunks of white paint. After getting all my details down on the landscape and enhancing the color to suit our light and distance elements, I shall celebrate the result of the balanced use of both brush and palette knife. Thank you for watching. Let me know what interests you in the art world, and if there is a specific technique that you'd like to learn in the comment below. You'll be good to click like and subscribe. See ya!